Mr. John, my teachers have been teaching me a lot about math lately. So why is it so important?
Math? It's incredibly important. It's like the universal language. There's so many things in our lives that we wouldn't be able to do without math. For example, we wouldn't have these fancy technology devices like the cell phone without math. We wouldn't be able to manage our finances without math. And we wouldn't be able to plan and cook our meals without using math. I mean, for real, like how else do you think that I know how many briquettes we need to make this awesome 14-inch deep dish pizza here in the Dutch oven? Math is a critical skill, and we use it every day in many ways that you probably don't even realize it. So why don't we take some time and explore different ways that we use math on a daily basis. Hi everyone, my name is Mr. John, and I'm Cubmaster of Pack 802 in Aberdeen, Maryland, part of the Hartford District, Baltimore Area Council. Firstly, I'd like to thank you for your dedication and commitment to scouting at home by purchasing this adventure box and joining me on this adventure. I hope that we didn't scare you off too much in our intro, because this adventure, Code of the Wolf, is all about math. But we're going to approach it in a way that hopefully your scouts will find math a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit more fun. And as stated, they probably use math in their everyday lives in ways they don't even realize it. In this adventure, we're going to learn several games that use math to keep score. Additionally, we're going to do a couple of craft projects, such as assembling this Reckon Rick, or arithmetic rack. We'll also be constructing and using this rain gauge to measure rainfall in our areas. We'll learn about a whole field of math that's dedicated to different shapes. Shapes in nature, shapes in construction, and shapes all around us in our everyday lives. Finally, within your Wolf Scout Adventure Box, you'll receive this kits to build the Super Spy Journal, which we'll use to send and decrypt several secret messages to our friends. I hope you are as excited as I am to learn about ways that we can use math to have fun in our everyday lives. Get ready for Code of the Wolf. Before we begin, let's review the requirements for the Code of the Wolf adventure. In order to complete this adventure, Scouts must finish 4 requirements, each with multiple options for completion. To help provide you with the greatest amount of flexibility for completing this adventure, we will be working on more options than the minimum requirements. Feel free to deviate and choose which options best fit your scout and your family. For the first requirement, Scouts have the option of completing 2 of the following. With the members of your den or family, make a game with simple materials that requires math to keep score. Play a game of Go Fish for Tens. Do 5 activities at home, at school, or in your den that use mathematics, and then explain to your den how you use math every day. Make a Reckon Rick with 2 rows and show your den leader or other adult how you would represent the numbers 4, 6, 9, and 14. Or make a rain gauge or some other measuring device and use it. For requirement 2, Scouts must complete 1 of the following. With other members of your den or family, identify 3 different types of shapes that you see in nature. With other members of your den or family, identify 2 shapes you can see in the construction of bridges. Or select a single shape or figure. Observe the world around you for at least a week and write down where you see the shape or figure and how it's used. Requirement 3 requires Scouts to complete 1 of the following. With your den, find something that comes with many small colored items in one package. Count the number of items of each color in your package, keep track of each color, then draw a graph showing the number of items of each color, determine what the most common color is, compare your results to those of other Scouts, predict how many items of each color you will find in one or more package, and decide if your prediction was close. we will be covering option A in this video. Alternatively, Scouts may, with your den or family, measure the height of everyone in the group and see who takes more steps to walk 100 feet. Or, as a third choice, have each member of your den shoot a basketball. Count the number of shots it takes for each scout to sink 5 baskets. Make a graph that shows how successful your den was. Your graph should show each group that needed 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 20, and more than 20 tries to sink their shots. For the fourth requirement, Scouts must complete one of the following. A. Use a secret code using numbers to send a message to one of your den members or your den leader. Have that person send a message back to you. Be sure that you both use the same code. B. Send a message to another member of your den or den leader using the Pigpen code, or another code that changes letters into special shapes. C. Practice using a code stick to create and decode a message. Let's get started by looking at option A in requirement 1. With the members of your den or family, make a game with simple materials that require math to keep score. In order to complete requirement 1, option A, Scouts must create a game that uses math to keep score. For our example, we're playing a game called Aircraft Carrier, where the scout has 5 chances to land a paper airplane on one of 3 designated zones that are simulating our aircraft carriers. If a scout throws the paper airplane and lands in the first zone, it's worth 5 points. The second zone is worth 10 points, and the third zone is worth 20 points. The goal of the game is to get as many points as you can out of your 5 throws. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and throw. All right, 0 points. Try 2. $10 points. Attempt 3. 0 points. I think that's what they call a crash and burn. Attempt 4. It's touching. 10 points. And attempt 5. I don't know, is it touching? Just missed. All right, so you have a total of what, 20 points?
Yep.
2 tons? Perfect.
Let's see if Mr. John can do any better.
All right, first try. 5 points. 15 points.
All right, attempt number 3. That's what we would call a crash and burn.
Yep. All right. All right, last try.
We missed it by that much.
Do I go for the win or go for the tie? All right, 20 points, all tied up. All right, see what types of games you can create. There's a few ideas in your Wolf Scout handbook, or you can try out this paper airplane aircraft carrier. Whatever you do, remember, have fun. Requirement 1, Option B, request Scouts play a game of Go Fish for Tens. Instructions for this game are located on page 147 of your Scout Handbook. This game is just like ordinary Go Fish, but rather than trying to ask a partner for a card that's equal to your card to get a match, you're going to ask for cards that add up to the value of 10. So for example, and laid out all the different number combinations that you could ask for that make up 10. 1, 9, 2, 8, 3, 7, 4, 6, 5, and 5. So we'll go ahead and do a quick demonstration to show you how you would play. So if these were my cards, I could say, hey partner, do you have an 8?
Yes, I have an 8.
All right, great. 2 plus 8 equals 10. All right, still my turn. Do you have a 5?
Yeah, I have a 5.
Ah, awesome. 5 plus 5 equals 10. Ooh, I'm good at this. All right, partner, do you have a 9?
Yes, I have a 9.
A 9. Ooh, I'm on fire. 9 plus 1 equals 10. Do you have a 5?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll go fish then. You're supposed to say go fish.
Go fish.
All right. Okay, your turn.
Do you have a 3?
Yes, I do. Here's a 3. 3 plus 7 equals 10. Your turn.
Do you have a 6?
I do. All right. And you ran out of cards, so game is over. Great job. So any combination of cards that adds up to a value of 10 is acceptable. And remember that math is fun. Requirement 1, option C, ask scouts to do 5 activities at home, school, or in your den that use mathematics, and then explain to your den how you used everyday math. Everyday math is just what it sounds like. You use it every day. For example, you might need to measure something to follow a pattern, or you might need to decide if you have enough money to buy something, or you might need to figure out how much silverware you need to set the table for dinner. You'll figure this out by determining how many people and how many pieces for each person. How many plants do you need for a garden if each plant needs a certain amount of space? What if you want to make a double batch of cookies? How many treats do you need for a den meeting if every scout gets 2 treats? Plus something for your den leader and assistant den leader. Write down 5 activities where you have used math at home, at school, or in your den, and share those activities with your den. For requirement 1, option D, we're going to assemble and use a reckon rick, or an arithmetic rack. Instructions for this assembly are on page 149 of the Scout Handbook. Let's get started. To complete assembly of the reckon rick, Scouts will need a piece of cardboard, 2 pieces of string, or in my case, paracord, 10 beads of one color, 10 beads of a second color, and a pair of sharp scissors. For the first step, Scouts should cut their piece of cardboard approximately 4 inches by 6 inches, as shown here. I used a piece of cardstock, fold it in half, and then cut it to the dimensions. And this will allow my device to stand up when it's complete. To begin assembly of the reckon rick, Scouts should measure and mark for hole placement using a ruler and a pencil. I've already pre-marked the location of my holes to save some time. Next, with the help of an adult, Scouts can use the tip of a pair of scissors to poke a hole through the cardboard at the intersection of each of these lines. Next, Scouts can pre-thread their string with 5 colors of each bead. Insert one end of your string in the hole that you just created with the scissors. To make it easier, I'm going to open these holes up a little bit more with this mechanical pencil. Next, retain your string to the back of the card using a simple overhand knot. Route the other end of your string through the hole and do the same thing to finish off this string. So here's the back side of my string with 2 overhead knots, and here's the front side. And then repeat this for the second string. Once you've added your second string to your Reckon Rick, it should look something like this. You can see we've got 4 overhand knots holding the strings to the back of the cardboard. Now that it's complete, Scouts may use the Reckon Rick as a visual aid for adding and subtracting by simply counting on. For example, to demonstrate a number 5 using the Reckon Rick, Scouts may slide the 5 beads that are blue in this case to the left, demonstrating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alternatively, to show a 10 using the Reckon Rick, all 10 beads may be slid to the left. To visualize a number greater than 10, such as a 12, Scouts may slide all 10 beads from the top row to the left, and then add 2 additional beads from the bottom row to complete the number. 10, 11, 12. Now that Scouts understand how the Reckon Rick works, they can use it to show an adult how to represent the numbers 4, 6, 9, and 14. For requirement 1, option E, we're going to make a rain gauge using common household materials and then learn how to use it to measure daily rainfall. Let's get started. To assemble our rain gauge, we'll need the following household materials: a clear plastic bottle, some colored tape, a ruler, scissors, and a marker. The first step to assemble our rain gauge is to investigate our bottle and see if we have a flat ring that we can use as a reference mark. Since this bottle only has a ring around the base of it, we're going to use the ruler to make some measurements so that we can cut the bottle evenly all the way around. And so I'm going to place my ruler along the flat bottom portion and make a mark at 5 inches, and do this for a couple places around the bottle. And this gives us a reference mark for cutting the top off of our bottle. Once your bottle is marked, get an adult to help you cut the top of the bottle using a sharp pair of scissors. You may be required to use a utility knife to get your cut started. Once your bottle is cut, be careful with handling near the edges as they may be sharp. To make it easier to handle the bottle without cutting yourself, we're going to lay some short strips of tape along our cut edge of the bottle. Once this step is complete, your bottle should look like this. In order to use our rain gauge as a measuring device, we'll first make a few marks on the bottle using our marker. First, I'm going to trace the straight line at the base of my bottle. That is going to be our reference point for no rain. And this will make more sense in a few moments. Next, I'm going to trace along the center of the bottle where there's already a plastic line, just as a visual reference. Once I've marked my visual line, I can apply this strip of tape, which we'll use to transfer marks from our ruler. Next, we'll take our ruler and mark every 1/2 inch along our tape line. So we'll do the primary marks first. For each inch. And then we'll come back and we'll make some shorter marks at the 1/2 inch locations. And feel free to label the primary marks along your ruler. When you're done with this step, it should look something like this. Before our rain gauge is ready to take outside and use, we'll need to add some weight to the base so it doesn't tip over in the wind. So small gravel would be perfect for this job. Alternatively, if you have some modeling clay, this would also be great as a permanent weight to the bottom of our rain gauge. If you decide to use gravel as your base fill, simply pour it in, being careful that the gravel doesn't go higher than the reference mark that we created earlier. And you can see the gravel provides a much more stable base than the bottle would be empty. Once our gravel's in place, we'll finish the rain gauge by adding water to the base up until the bottom of our orange reference line. That way, any new rain that's added to the bottle will measure up from the 0 marker. To finish this off and prevent the water collected in our gauge from evaporating, we'll add our top back to the inside of the bottle. There we go. Our rain gauge is complete and ready to try out outdoors.
Now that we've completed our rain gauge, let's test it out. I'm not sure if it's working.
What do you mean the gauge isn't working? Has it even rained since you brought it outside?
No, it hasn't rained.
Oh, I see. Well, let's explain for our scout friends how this device works. Once it starts to rain, any rain that lands at the top of our bottle will gather inside of it, in turn raising the level of water inside the rain gauge. Then we can come back later, preferably every single day, and check to see what level of water is left in our bottle. For every 1 inch of rain that falls, we should expect the level of water in our bottle to move up on our ruler by 1 inch. Does that make more sense now?
Yeah, now it makes a lot more sense.
I guess we just need to wait for some rain.
Yeah, I guess we do.
Yep, I think the weatherman's saying it's going to be a torrential downpour.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, it looks like our rain gauge collected some rain after all.
Yeah, it looks like it got 3 inches. 1, 2, 3.
That must have been some big storm.
Yeah, some storm.
All right, now that we're done measuring this rainfall, let's prepare our rain gauge so it can measure again at our next big storm. So let's dump out the water until we're left with only the water at the 1 inch mark. And if we accidentally dump out too much, we can add some water back in. All right, we've dumped out our 3 inches of water and reset our gauge so it's ready to begin collecting on a different day. So if you built your rain gauge at home and would like to share your results, feel free to take a picture and post it to the Baltimore Area Council Adventure Box Facebook page, and that way the rest of us can see how you did with your rain gauge. For requirement 2, Scouts must complete one of the following. With other members of your den or family, identify 3 different types of shapes that you see in nature. With other members of your den or family, identify 2 shapes you can see in the construction of bridges. Or, select a single shape or figure, observe the world around you for at least a week, and write down where you see the shape or figure and how it's used. Did you know that there's an entire field of math dedicated to studying different types of shapes? In order to complete requirement 2, Scouts have 3 options to study and explore the use of shapes in the world around them. Requirement 2A requires Scouts to identify 3 different types of shapes that they see in nature. Whether it's the shape of a leaf, or the pattern in a bird's nest, or the honeycomb of a bee's hive, there are very interesting uses of shape in the natural world all around us. Requirement 2B requires Scouts to identify 2 shapes that they see in the construction of bridges. Finally, requirement 2C allows Scouts to identify the use of a single type of shape all over the world. Pick a shape that you love and look for it anywhere you can find it. Feel free to share the photos of any of these shapes that you've identified in the world around you on the Baltimore Area Council Adventure Box Facebook group. For requirement 3, Scouts will receive an introduction in how to collect data, how to display those data using a simple bar graph, and finally, how to use the data they've collected to make a prediction about future data. To do this, we'll use a package of small colored items and count them to determine the number of items of each color in the package. And then we'll take another package and count those items after making a prediction to see how close our prediction was. Let's get started. For this exercise, I thought it would be fun if we use this pack of 3,500 perler beads. That way, we'll have lots of items of different colors to count. Maybe this was a bad choice. This may take a while. So I don't know about you guys, but the idea of counting and sorting these 3,500 mini perler beads is a little bit more than I signed up for. So this was just a joke, Instead, let's try out this box of Starburst candy. I think this will be much more reasonable for our experiment here. So why don't I get the help of an assistant and we'll count and sort these. So let's go ahead and open up our box here. Oh, before I open this box, assistant, do you have a guess for how many candies do you think are inside of this box?
About 14 or 15.
14 or 15? Yeah, it's probably a pretty good guess. So let's see how closely we do here. All right, so orange is my favorite color. So I will sort the orange and pink ones, and why don't you sort the yellow and the red ones? All right, and let's sort them and then line them up by color so we can count and see how many of each there are. And our backer board actually has nice little squares here, so we can use them for counting. All right, so I have 6 pink and 3 orange. What did you come up with?
I have 7 yellow and 4 red.
All right, why don't we take them and sort them by order of greatest to least. So it looks like our orange are our least, our yellows are the most. So we'll put those here, and let's bring our reds in there. So we have 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 4 more, 17, and 3 more is 20. So your guess was pretty good. You're off by 5, so there's 20 starbursts in this box. And when we arrange them in this direction, it actually reminds me of something. What about you? What does this look like to you?
I think it reminds me to a diagram.
A diagram? What type of diagram?
In array.
An array? It is kind of like an array. Or I was thinking more like a bar graph.
Yeah.
So a bar graph is a way that you can show your data in a visual format. So why don't we take a piece of graph paper like this and create a bar graph? How's that sound?
That sounds good.
To help save us some time, I've already gone ahead and laid out a template for our bar diagram on this graph paper. So the first thing that we should do is we should transfer the data for our counts onto the paper. So remind me, how many yellow candies did we collect?
We collected 7 yellow candies.
7. So I'm going to mark 7. How many orange did we have?
3 orange.
3. How many red did we have?
We had 4 reds.
4. And how many pink?
We had 6 pink.
6 pink. And that's a total of how many?
20 pieces of strawberries.
20 total. All right. So now that we have this data, let's go ahead and show it on our bar graph. So what we can do is for each piece of candy, we have a block that's going to be a square shape using 4 of the grids on our graph paper. And I've already marked on the side of the paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corresponding with the number of candy that we count. Each one of these columns is a different type of candy, this being yellow, pink, red, and orange. And to make it easier, we're even going to color them in with the right color. So why don't you go ahead and do the red and orange, and I'll do the yellow and the pink.
Okay.
Alright, while you're coloring that in, I'm going to go ahead and mark off. We have 7 yellow candies. So what I'll do is go up here to the 7 line and draw my line across. And then I can use my ruler to make a straight column representing 7 candies. Alright, see how I did that?
Yep.
So for pink, we have 6. So we're going to go over and mark on our 6 line. Draw this column of 6. And our picture will look very similar to the actual candy graph that we created. Red, we have 4. Why don't you go ahead and fill out the 4?
Okay.
So find the 4, go across, draw a straight line. Alright, and then use the ruler, draw a column down. And orange, we have 3. So here's our 3 line. All right, and let's finish the graph by coloring it in.
All right.
And there you have it. Here is our way of showing the data for the candies that we collected and counted from order of greatest to least. So now that we've seen that we can present data this way, and we've opened one box of candy, do you think every single box of Starburst candy created is going to have the same number of candies in it like that?
I don't know.
What's your prediction? So first of all, do you think it's always going to have 20 candies?
I believe it will always have 20 candies.
So the box did say it's sold by weight. So if you can see here, it's 3.5 ounces of weight for the candy. So if each candy weighs about the same, then there's probably going to be the same amount of candies in each box. But what do you think the mix? Do you think the mix of colors is always going to be the same?
I do not.
Okay, well, let's find out. So let's slide this out of the way and check out second box of candy. Number two. So do you have a prediction? What do you think is going to be the most this time?
I think maybe pink would be the most.
Think pink's the most? Pink is the most delicious. So orange is the best color, but pink is the most delicious. So
yes.
Let's see how close you are. All right, so I'll do pink and orange, and you do yellow and red. I think your prediction was a little bit off, but that's okay.
My first prediction was right, though.
Wow. All right.
Wow,
So let's rearrange this a little bit. So first of all, pink was not the most. Which candy has the most colors?
Red. One
Red.
of the least biggest last time.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's even bigger than the graph that we created. All right. Then we have 4 orange. We have 3 yellow. And only 2 pink. I guess we're a little off.
Well, I thought would be the most is the least.
Yeah. So what did we learn though? We've got 11 plus 4 is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you were right. There are 20 candies in each box. But I think it's safe to say that every time you open a new package, you don't know how many of each color you're going to get. So I hope that you like all the colors. And then that way you'll be happy no matter what you get. All right. Well, thank you for your help, assistant.
You're welcome, Mr. John.
All right. Very good. Inside your Wolf Adventure box, you'll receive this Kids Labs Spy Science Kit. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's inside of it. All right, we have our instructions. This looks like a Morse code LED light. Maybe a little binder to hold our supplies. And our own Secret Spy notebook. All right, so it looks like we're going to use the supplies in this kit to put together a Super Spy secret message journal that we can use to transmit secret messages to our friends. Let's take a closer look at the contents of our Kids Lab Spy Science Kit. This white instruction sheet provides an overview of the contents contained in your kit, instructions for assembly, as well as instructions for using the various elements of the kit, such as the Morse code shutter card, the cipher wheel, secret codes library, ways to invent your own secret codes, X-ray secret messages, invisible messages, and the stick code. Let's dive in and begin assembly of our journal. The Super Spy journal comes in several parts, including some cardboard elements and some paper elements. When you first open your kit, you'll need to separate the pages for each of these sections and lay them out similar to I have. The order can be found based on the page number in the lower right hand corner of each page. We're going to start by laying the plastic pencil holder over our cover Our first page is the cipher wheel. Underneath that, we'll have 3 pages for all of our library of codes, 3, 5, and 7. Next in our journal, we'll add 3 pages for our X-ray secret notes pages. Three pages for our super spy notes in yellow. It's 15, 17, and 19. The single long page for our stick notes on page 21. And finally, our rear cover, which is another piece of cardboard, yellow on this side and black on the other. Take your time to get each hole for all your pages lined up so that you can bind the journal using this coil. Once you've removed all the perforation tabs from each of the holes and have them lined up like this, you can start your binding by rotating the coil through your lower hole. Continue to rotate it, placing the end of the coil in each subsequent hole. When complete, your journal should look like this. Let's take a closer look at our completed Super Spy journal. We have our pen holder on the outside of the journal, our cover sheet, cipher wheel, a page for Morse code, the pig pen cipher, the Polybius square, Braille, semaphore, a sheet to make your own invented code, 3 pages of X-ray secret note paper, 3 pages of super spy note paper, and our long page for making code sticks. Next, let's assemble the cipher wheel located on page 1 of the journal. To do that, you'll need to punch out the cipher wheel card from the cards enclosed in the kit. We'll fold down the tabs in the center and push the tabs through the circle in the middle of the cipher wheel. Once they're on the other side, you can fold them over and use the cipher wheel like this. To assemble the second cipher wheel, we'll use the black and red circle and the smaller cipher wheel. We'll assemble it the same way as the cipher wheel in the notebook, bending these tabs inward, placing the tabs through the hole in the larger wheel, flipping it over, and bending the tabs open so that they're held in place. To assemble your very own Super Spy ID card, complete with a secret X-ray message viewer, take one of the cards out of the kit and flip it upside down. We're going to place a piece of red film over the viewport and then secure the card using this double-sided adhesive tape. Repeat these steps for your second ID card. To assemble the Morse code shutter card, we need the Morse code shutter wrapper, this card with the black and white lines, and one piece of double-sided adhesive. open the wrapper and place your card so this way up is facing up in both cards. Insert the small tabs into the outer edge and secure the wrapper using double-sided adhesive tape along this edge. Because the adhesive is slightly wider than this tab, I'm going to fold it back on itself. And that way it doesn't interfere with the operation of the shutter. Alright, when complete, it should look something like this. And you can adjust the shutter by sliding the tabs open and closed. For the fourth requirement, Scouts must complete one of the following. A. Use a secret code using numbers to send a message to one of your den members or your den leader. Have that person send a message back to you. Be sure that you both use the same code. B. Send a message to another member of your den or den leader using the Pigpen code, or another code that changes letters into special shapes. C. Practice using a code stick to create and decode a message. You can use your assembled cipher wheels to complete requirement 4, part A, located on page 160 of your Wolf Scout handbook. To complete this requirement, you'll use a secret code to send a message to one of your den members or your den leader. The way that you can program your cipher wheel so that you both have the same code for sending and receiving your message is to rotate the dial and select one letter that matches up with the background letter. In this case, I'm going to match the letter A to the letter T on this wheel. Then I need to do the same corresponding rotation so that the letter A and the letter T matches up on my partner's wheel. Then every other letter has a corresponding pair that matches up for our message. For example, if I look at the letter S on my primary wheel, it has a substitution for the letter F. Over here, S is substituted with F. Please get creative and come up with your own messages and use the cipher wheel to send one and receive one from a partner. To help with requirement 4B, I've already set up a Pigpen cipher and multiple codes that you can decipher on your own, and I'll post it in a link below this video. So as you can see, the Pigpen cipher works by reassigning each letter of the alphabet with a different symbol in this grid pattern. For example, the letter A is represented by this upper bracket, whereas the letter Y is an angled bracket shaped to the right with a dot in the middle. So, assistant, knowing what you see with this cipher here, do you think you could solve these messages?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and give it a try. All right, let's take a look and see what he got for this first message. Can you read it?
It says, do your best.
Do your best. I've heard that before. What is that?
It's the Scout motto.
Oh yeah, the Cub Scout motto. Very cool. So, all right. Well, let's not spoil the rest of these for you, but now you've got an example of how to solve them. And as mentioned, we'll post a link to this file download in the comments of this video. Once you've gotten the hang of the Pigpen cipher using this provided worksheet, feel free to send and receive your own secret messages to your friends. A quick reference is located on page 4 of your Secret Spy Journal. Requirement 4, option C, demonstrates another method for Scouts to send a secret message using a code stick. Instructions for this are on page 162 of the Wolf Scout Handbook. Additionally, the Super Spy Notes notebook has all the resources a Scout needs to complete this option. To complete this, the Scout will need one code stick paper, one plastic tube, and 2 code stick stoppers. To get started with your code stick message, fold one of the ends of your code stick paper and insert it into the end of the plastic tube. Folding it makes it easier to fit into the tube. Then secure it in place using one of the foam stoppers. Once one end of your paper is secured, begin to tightly wrap it around the tube so that each wrap lays directly beside each previous wrap. Once the paper is completed to wrap to the end of the tube, bend the other end of the paper, or fold it, insert it into the tube, and secure it with the other cork. You can write your secret message by applying letters to the paper. I've just created the message Scouts. Then, to make the message more secret so that others cannot decode this without the same tube, unroll your paper and add additional letters in the spaces between the letters you just wrote. Mix it up and add as many letters as you'd like. In order to decode your secret code stick message, you must wrap the paper around the original size stick in the same orientation that it was originally wrapped. By doing so, you can see that all of our letters line up and can be read easily, whereas all these other secret letters are no longer confusing. Feel free to use the resources available in your Super Spy notebook to send additional code stick messages to your friends. Alright guys, this concludes the Code of the Wolf adventure. Great job and congratulations for its completion. If you have any questions at all about the things we covered in this adventure, or you'd like to participate in a Zoom meeting to discuss your results, feel free to send me an email at cubmaster@pack802md.com.